You've been told your brain is a biological computer, but that is a scientific lie designed to keep you disconnected.
The truth is much more radical. Your brain is a high-precision antenna, and you have simply been tuned to the wrong frequency. We've spent centuries looking at the stars to find God, but we've been looking through the wrong end of the telescope.
Most people believe they are victims of their biology, slaves to their DNA and their environment. They are wrong. Today, we are bridging the gap between the swerve and the will to power. We are decoding the salts of salvation, the 12 chemical keys hidden in your blood that act as the hardware for your quantum consciousness. But pay close attention. If you miss the secret of the vagus nerve, the rest of this data will remain just theory. Stick around, because we're about to turn the word into flesh. In classical physics, the world is a stage, and we are just the audience. The play happens whether we watch it or not. But in the 1920s, quantum mechanics destroyed this idea forever. In his book Helgoland, physicist Carlo Rovelli explains that particles do not possess properties in isolation. An electron does not have a speed or a position until it interacts with something else. Reality is fundamentally relational. When you're not looking at an electron, it is a wave of pure probability. But the moment you measure it, the wave collapses into a solid particle. Richard Feynman noted this strange behavior in his lectures, calling it the central mystery of quantum mechanics. The universe is not made of tiny solid billiard balls. It is made of potentialities that only become solid when consciousness interacts with them. You are not watching the universe. You are rendering it. If the universe isn't made of solid matter, what is it made of? Information. As James Gleick chronicles in The Information, modern physics has shifted from seeing reality as a machine to seeing it as a computer. Physicist John Wheeler famously coined the phrase "it from bit." Everything physical, the it, derives its existence entirely from yes or no questions, binary choices, the bit. When you flip a coin, you generate information. When an atom decays, it generates information. Seth Lloyd, in Programming the Universe, argues that the universe is literally a giant quantum computer calculating its own future. The chair you are sitting on is not a physical object. It is a massive clump of compressed data, decoded by the software of your brain. But information does not just sit there. It does something miraculous. It fights entropy. Remember episode, "This is why time never goes back." Entropy is the law that everything decays. But life defies entropy. How? Through information processing. Physicist Paul Davies calls this the demon in the machine. A living cell uses information, DNA, to organize chaos into structure. Norbert Wiener, the father of cybernetics, proved that information is the opposite of entropy. When you learn something, when you create a piece of art, when you organize your room, you are locally reversing the death of the universe. Consciousness is the mechanism the universe uses to keep itself alive. Yet science has a massive blind spot. It can explain how the brain processes data, but it cannot explain why it feels like something to be alive. This is called the hard problem of consciousness. Neuroscientist Anil Seth argues that our experience of reality is a controlled hallucination, a best-guess prediction generated by the brain. But why does the hallucination have colors, flavors, and emotions? Some thinkers, like Max Tegmark in Life 3.0, suggest that consciousness is simply what data processing feels like from the inside. But others push further. What if consciousness isn't a byproduct of the brain? What if the brain is just an antenna tuning into a fundamental frequency of consciousness? Why does the game exist at all? the anthropic cosmological principle, discussed by physicists like John D. Barrow, Frank J. Tipler, and Martin Rees, offers a staggering observation. If the fundamental constants of the universe, the strength of gravity, the mass of an electron, were altered by even a fraction of a percent, stars would never have formed. Carbon would never exist. Life would be impossible. The universe appears precisely fine-tuned, almost as if it knew we were coming. Or more accurately, the universe was engineered by a larger consciousness, specifically to house us. Where does this journey end? According to physicist David Deutsch, in The Beginning of Infinity, it never ends. We are at the start of an infinite journey of explanation. Knowledge is the process of taking the raw information of the universe and turning it into understanding. As Pedro Domingos explores in The Master Algorithm, we are searching for the ultimate code that explains everything. But the universe is not a puzzle to be solved and discarded. It is an infinite game. Every time we solve one mystery, we collapse a new wave of probability, creating 10 more mysteries. We are the architects of an expanding reality that grows as fast as our curiosity. But is the code of the universe perfectly deterministic? If every action has a cause, do we truly have a choice? The ancient poet Lucretius offered a profound answer in The Way Things Are. He described the clinamen, or the swerve. He imagined atoms falling through the void in straight lines. If they stayed in those lines, nothing would ever happen. But occasionally, at an unpredictable time and place, an atom swerves just a tiny bit. This swerve is the origin of all complexity and all free will. As Stephen Greenblatt notes in The Swerve, this single idea birthed the modern world. In a universe of rigid laws, your consciousness is the swerve. It is the unpredictable deviation that allows the universe to surprise itself. Trapped in the left hemisphere, we treat life as a finite game. As James P. Carse writes, a finite game is played for the purpose of winning. You play by strict rules, you beat your opponent, and the game ends. Politics, war, and corporate ladders are finite games. But the universe is an infinite game. An infinite game is played for the purpose of continuing the play. The rules are constantly changed to ensure the game never ends. When you realize that your consciousness is eternal, and the physical world is just a training simulator, you stop trying to win life. You start playing to keep the universe expanding. If we are the observers who collapse reality, then we are not victims of fate. We are the authors of it. Friedrich Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra and The Will to Power, challenged us to wake up from the slave morality of the herd. Most people live within a pre-rendered reality, a set of rules and values handed down by history and religion. But the Übermensch, or the overman, is the one who realizes that the matrix has no inherent meaning. Nietzsche argues that we must have the courage to re-evaluate all values. If the universe is a quantum field of potential, then your will to power is the force that organizes that potential into a higher form of life. You are not here to follow the code. You are here to write it. Because our beliefs shape reality, the structures of our beliefs are the most important things we possess. In Maps of Meaning, Jordan Peterson outlines how human beings cannot survive in a chaotic, unstructured world. We overlay the chaos with narrative. We divide the world into the known, order, and the unknown, chaos. These narratives aren't just fairy tales. They are the cognitive algorithms that allow us to process the infinite data of the universe without going insane. When your map of meaning shatters through trauma, betrayal, or tragedy, you do not just feel sad. You literally fall back into the raw, terrifying chaos of unrendered reality. If our minds are so powerful, why do we feel so helpless? Because, as psychiatrist Ian McGilchrist points out in The Master and His Emissary, our brains are divided and the wrong half is in charge. The right hemisphere, the master, understands the vast interconnected quantum nature of reality. It sees the whole. The left hemisphere, the emissary, is designed to chop reality into dead, isolated parts so we can build tools. Modern society is trapped in the left hemisphere. We have forgotten how to feel the resonant frequency of the whole, and we are obsessed with manipulating the dead parts. We have lost our connection to the source code. Because our minds render reality, those who control our perceptions control our world. In Simulacra and Simulation, Jean Baudrillard warns that we have entered an age where the map has replaced the territory. We live in a world of hyperreality, where the image of the thing is more real to us than the thing itself. Thomas Hobbes, in Leviathan, argued that we create mortal gods, the state, to keep order. But in the digital age, this social matrix has become a feedback loop of symbols. As George Orwell warned in 1984, if you can control the language, the code, you can control what the observer is even capable of seeing. To be truly free, you must learn to see past the simulacra and reconnect with the raw, unrendered quantum truth. If reality is a simulation or a social construct, does anything actually matter? Is the suffering real? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, answered this in Man's Search for Meaning. In the most horrific conditions imaginable, Frankl discovered that while the simulation can take away your freedom, your property, and your health, it cannot take away your will to meaning. Meaning is the ultimate observer effect. When you find a why for your existence, you literally change the structure of your reality. Suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning. Even in a digital or quantum universe, the love you feel and the purpose you serve are the only things that are hard-coded. Sometimes, the barrier between the inner mind and the outer world thins, and the code glitches. Carl Jung spent years studying what he called synchronicity. Synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. You dream of a golden scarab beetle, and the next day, an actual golden scarab taps on your window. It is not cause and effect. The dream didn't cause the bug to appear. Instead, Jung argued, both the dream and the bug are expressions of a deeper, underlying pattern. They are connected by meaning, not by physics. When you experience a synchronicity, you are seeing the source code of the matrix. You are witnessing the fact that the inner world of the psyche and the outer world of matter are made of the exact same substance. What is generating these meaningful patterns? Jung, along with Erich Neumann, in The Origins and History of Consciousness, identified them as archetypes. Archetypes are the psychological equivalent of DNA. Just as your body naturally grows 2 arms and 2 legs, the human psyche naturally grows universal structures. The hero, the shadow, the great mother. These are not just cultural myths. They are the strange attractors of consciousness. They are the gravity wells that pull our thoughts, our societies, and our histories into predictable, repeating shapes. We do not have archetypal ideas. Archetypal ideas have us. Monroe's work inspired physicist Thomas Campbell to write My Big Toe, Theory of Everything. Campbell models the entire universe as a virtual reality. In a video game, the computer only renders the room you are currently standing in to save processing power. Quantum mechanics proves the universe does the exact same thing. It only renders particles when an observer logs in and measures them. Why would a larger consciousness system create this virtual reality? For evolution. The physical world is a dense, high-stakes training simulator. We are here to make choices, experience the feedback of entropy, and evolve our code from fear to love. If we are trapped in a simulation of our own making, how do we hack it? Deepak Chopra, in Metahuman, argues that humanity is suffering because we have identified completely with the simulation, the avatar, the ego, the physical body. To become metahuman is to wake up and realize you are the author of the code, not the character on the screen. The limits you perceive, time, space, illness, are habits of perception. They are not absolute laws. They are merely the default settings of the human interface. This is not just philosophy, it is biological fact. In quantum healing, Chopra explores how a shift in consciousness can instantly rewrite the biology of the body. Consider the placebo effect. A patient is given a sugar pill, but is told it is a powerful chemotherapy drug. In a shocking number of cases, their tumors shrink and their hair falls out. The sugar didn't cure the cancer. The belief cured the cancer. Your cells are eavesdropping on your thoughts. If reality is information, and your mind generates information, then your belief is literally reprogramming your physical hardware in real time. We are the universe's way of thinking about itself. As V.P. Kaznachev explored in Cosmic Consciousness of Humanity, we are not a byproduct of dead matter. We are the nervous system of the cosmos waking up. When you change your mind, you are not just changing a chemical state inside a dark skull. You are altering the frequency of the simulation. You are collapsing probability waves. You are rewriting the code of reality. If the brain is an antenna, then consciousness can exist outside of it. In the mid-20th century, a sound engineer named Robert Monroe began experiencing spontaneous out-of-body states. In Journeys Out of the Body, Monroe documented his ability to separate his conscious awareness from his physical form, traveling through non-physical data streams and observing reality from outside the human interface. Monroe's work laid the foundation for the understanding that the physical body is merely a vehicle. You are a localized point of a larger consciousness system. When the antenna breaks, when the body dies, the signal does not stop. It simply returns to the source. The vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve, known as the wanderer. It is the longest nerve in the body, connecting the brain to every vital organ. In esoteric science, this is the bridge of life. The vagus nerve is the lightning rod that allows the electrical Christos to bypass the mechanical functions of the body and reach the higher brain centers. When you activate this nerve through breath and focus, you are literally rewiring your simulation to handle more power. Deep in your torso lies the solar plexus, a massive cluster of nerves. Carey identifies this as the Bethlehem of the body, the house of bread. This is where the chemical seed is born. It is your internal sun. Just as the sun gives light to the solar system, your solar plexus provides the electrical power for your entire personal simulation. If your sun is dim because of stress or poor chemistry, your world appears dark. In the Bible, there are 12 disciples, 12 tribes of Israel, and 12 gates of the holy city. In your body, there are 12 inorganic mineral salts that sustain life. Carey calls these the salts of salvation. Iron, magnesium, potassium. These aren't just supplements. They are the stones of the temple. When your blood is missing these 12 salts, your antenna becomes noisy. You cannot receive the higher quantum frequencies of the universe if your hardware is rusted. To be saved is to have a chemically perfect body. In the ancient Greek, the word Christos means anointed or oil. According to George W. Carey in God-Man, the Word made flesh, this isn't just a religious metaphor, it's a biological fact. Every month, a specific fluid is secreted in the brain. the pineal and pituitary glands, and begins a journey down the spinal cord. This is the seed. The ancients called it spirit, but in modern biology, it is a highly refined substance that carries the blueprint of your potential. If this oil is preserved and raised back up the spine, it undergoes a chemical transformation that illuminates the entire nervous system. Why are there 33 degrees in Scottish Rite Masonry? Because there are 33 segments in your vertebrae. Carey argues that the Christos must climb these 33 steps, from the base of the spine to the optic thalamus in the brain. This is the literal Jacob's ladder. Each segment represents a higher frequency of consciousness. When the energy reaches the 33rd degree, it crosses the vagus nerve and enters the thalamus, which the ancients called the Most High. You are not just a body, you are a living temple under construction. Nikola Tesla famously said, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe." But Tesla wasn't just talking about math. He was talking about the vibrational resonance of the brain. The brain is a receiver. When we align our internal biological frequency with the 3-6-9 pattern of the universe, we stop thinking and start downloading. Tesla understood that the universe has a heartbeat, and the 33 segments of our spine are the strings of the instrument. When you combine Carey's biology with Tesla's frequencies, you get a master algorithm for human existence. You are a quantum observer, Feynman, using a biological antenna, Carey, to tune into a cosmic broadcast, Tesla. The swerve that Lucretius talked about is the moment you choose to consciously raise your frequency. You are no longer a mortal god, as Hobbes feared. You are the God-man, the Word made flesh, a self-correcting program that has finally discovered its own source code. Nietzsche's Übermensch is not a political leader. It is the person who has mastered their own 33 degrees. It is the observer who has balanced their 12 tissue salts and activated their vagus nerve to become a lightning rod for the truth. We have moved from the stars, through the atoms, and into the marrow of our own bones. The journey to the edge of the universe ends exactly where it began, inside the 33 segments of your own spine. We began this journey looking for the mastermind, the secret force controlling the world. We looked at entropy, perception, and the hive mind. And here, at the edge of the quantum void, we find the truth. The mastermind is not out there. The mastermind is the localized spark of consciousness reading these words. You are the interface where the universe becomes aware of itself. You are the swerve in the atoms. You are the observer whose belief collapses the future into the present. The simulation is running. The keyboard is yours. What will you render next? You are not a camera. You are not a powerless node in a machine. You are the observer. Every fear you hold renders a wall in the virtual reality. Every act of courage renders a door. The universe is listening to you. It is waiting for your instructions. The frequency you broadcast becomes the reality you inhabit. It is time to take control of the keyboard.